All right, so I think I will be slowly starting out and just letting everybody know what are the rules and the topics of today's audio event and what we'll be talking about. So, hello everybody, welcome to our LinkedIn audio event about 2023 updates and 2024 trends on LinkedIn. I hope you're all doing really well. During this event, we will be reviewing this past year and the different ways we saw the audiences engage within this platform. And also, we will try to see into the future and predict what is awaiting for us next year. From our experience, people on this call are very knowledgeable within LinkedIn. So I think we'll have a lot of great discussions. I see many people joining, so as always, if you can react with an emoji once you join, that would be amazing. And of course, when we're having a discussion, you can always react with emojis to show your support. For those who are joining our audio event for the first time, we'll be starting off with a conversation with our guests all about LinkedIn. After that, within the last 10 to 15 minutes of this audio event, we will leave some space and time for the Q&A session. So if you have a question, you can raise your hand during this event, and then at the very end of it, we'll have some time to answer to your questions. Okay, so I think without further ado, let me introduce myself. So my name is Katrina, and I'm the founder and CEO at Linkedist, and the company that helps people and brands grow within the power of LinkedIn. And today with me in this audio event, we have Dominika, founder and consultant at Persona Cognita. We have Andy, co-founder at Think Unconventional, and Selina, LinkedIn business strategist and at the In Academy. Welcome, everybody.
Hello.
Good to have you. Good to have you all today here in this audio event.
Great to be here.
So maybe before we start talking about different topics around LinkedIn and today's main topic, would you mind introducing yourself in a few words and how are you feeling today? So maybe Andy, you can start since you're the one unmuted.
Yeah, I'm just pleased that I managed to unmute it. Normally I just talk for 10 minutes and then realise no one's heard anything I've said. So I'm just pleased that I was able to do that. My name's Andy. Some of you will possibly know me. I'm the co-founder of the Unconventional brand with my wife, a brand that's inspired by our unconventional life, our autism, our neurodiversity in the house. We started selling hoodies and t-shirts a couple of years ago, and that brand evolved into a social media company, which was always the goal. So it's got a bit of a story to it, but I've been on LinkedIn for over 4 years now, learning this platform and becoming fairly obsessed with it in terms of how people interact. So I'm looking forward to trying to help as much as I can today with these questions.
All right. Lovely to have you here today with us. Next up, Selina, maybe you can introduce yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you again for hosting. It's such an exciting topic to talk about. I really hope that everyone is tuning in with your favorite coffee, favorite drinks. Mine is definitely coffee drinking right now in Miami. Hi, everyone. My name is Selina. I'm the CEO and founder of the In Academy. We are agency that helping entrepreneurs as well as small business owner creating personal brand that people wanted to follow, as well as learning how to use use LinkedIn for their business. So we've been in business for 3 years. I think when I first started this venture, I actually caught up with Katrina. I think we started our journey pretty much very similar time. So I'm really excited to get into the room, collaborating with all these amazing mastermind around LinkedIn. So if anybody have questions around what is up in 2024, let's talk about it. If there's any challenge that you face in 2023, let's also talk about it. So I'm excited to be here with everyone.
Lovely to have you here in this call, and I hope you have some. You already had some morning coffee or tea to start your day.
I really have a triple shot today.
Okay, so you're ready. Okay, Dominika.
So hello, everyone. My name is Dominika, and I represent a company that's called Persona Cognita. I founded it in 2019, and it was basically a result of a big passion of mine that's called personal branding. And today, what we do, we basically help companies and individuals, but mainly companies, to leverage the power of employee personal brands in order to increase recognition of the company, in order to improve its image, and also to attract talent. So me and Katrina, I was counting today since when we know each other, and I think it's been 5 years since we first
Wow.
met in person. Yes, it was 2018, and it was around Christmas time. So it's been already, 5 years, and what a journey! And we're still here, being active on LinkedIn. And it is my pleasure to be speaking at this updates event that you, Katrina, organize. Not for the first time, I think for the second time, right? Like the specific one.
Yeah.
So I very much admire the fact that you are keeping the traditions alive. So my pleasure to be here. I look forward to the discussion.
Good to have you. And last year, I remember you were also a part of the very first updates call, audio event, sorry. So it's good to see you again this year as well.
Thanks a lot.
Okay, so before we start, I one more time would like to remind everybody of a few of our housekeeping rules. So if you have a question, raise your hand. There will be a Q&A at the very end. And if we bring you on the stage, have your question prepared. I think that's about it. So today we start our event with a few, reflections of this year, even though the year has not ended yet, but it's coming to an end. So it would be great to hear how it went for everybody that we have today as guest speakers. And my first question is to you is, how has the engagement on LinkedIn evolved over the past year? Maybe you could share highlight from your LinkedIn presence in the last year, something maybe that happened when it comes to your content, maybe like a very specific viral post or something else that you noticed during this last year. So would anyone want to start?
Yeah, I don't mind starting. I think
Go ahead.
It's fairly apparent for anyone that uses the platform that impressions and have taken a drop. It was inevitable. I think LinkedIn was always going to slowly follow in the footsteps of our platforms and make it slightly more difficult for us to grow businesses. We've had it kind of all our own way for quite some time, I think, which is why so many people have come to the platform in the last couple of years. But for me specifically, I mean, this year's been crazy good since we launched the business last year. It's been a huge year of growth, but not because we've had massive engagement or impressions, should I say, on our content, but just because of consistency. I think, from an engagement perspective, we've still been on point in terms of where we've always been. Impressions yes, they've dropped off. But as I say, that was inevitable. And I think what we've done is choose to use LinkedIn as the complete business development solution, as opposed to it just expecting content alone to serve our purpose. And I think that's probably where we're evolving our business, certainly into next year. Because if you're coming to the platform new and fresh, and you're building a content strategy that isn't completely stand out and isn't quite outrageous, it's difficult. It's difficult to move forward without using the platform in terms of all of its assets, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And when you were talking about the drop in engagement, I also remember that this year we had LinkedIn do a little cleanup of followers. I don't know if others also noticed that, but there was, the time when they cleaned up quite a few, a lot of bots and lots of followers were gone for specific accounts. So that also happened this year, which I think also influenced, the engagement, right? So
yeah, it certainly did. I mean, I lost about 1,000, but what's 1,000 people that don't do anything? it really didn't really matter to me at all, because, as I say, numbers in terms of engagement didn't take a dent. So it was just people that either aren't active or aren't real, and I think that was absolutely the right play for LinkedIn, and I think they continue to do that, don't they? I think there's days that still pop up where 20 or 30 have dropped off, so I think they're doing a regular cleanup now on a monthly basis.
Yeah, which is, I think it's fantastic for the quality of like audiences on the platform, where like I think they also did one that is specifically for third world country, where they need to like validate their ID right now with identification, which is something that I think it's great for the platform for sure.
Oh, definitely. Maybe Selena, you want to share something that happened during this year in regards to engagement, or maybe some other things that you've noticed.
Sure, Katrina. I think to Andy's point, I really like you pointed out about consistency. I always say LinkedIn growth isn't really linear. The reality is you just need to like continue creating content consistently and talk about it all the time about what you do and be on top of mind. So if you're looking to win on LinkedIn in this year, like even right now, at the end of like 2023, like really making sure consistency is your biggest playing game here, which is I think the winning sort of strategies to go about. So what I noticed is that LinkedIn is testing a lot of stuff this year. I don't know whether like all of you also agree with me. They first really shed so much attention on posts earlier this year. Everything went viral when it comes to posts because they really want people to engage, right? Increase their conversation around the platform, which I think it's quite successful. But ultimately, of course, the user abused it, and now they just like turn it to carousel for a couple of months, and now it's just like go back to almost all different posts are pretty similar, except like I think text posts, picture posts, and multi-picture posts are doing really well. So this is one of the sort of like posts features I found LinkedIn have been testing and experimenting a lot. One of the wins that I see that LinkedIn have not been changing a lot is storytelling. So I find a couple of my posts went viral, especially one that I think is just a little bit interesting. I went to the LinkedIn office because I used to work for LinkedIn in the San Francisco office. So I went to the New York office earlier this year, and then I talk about, the office is really cool. I want to like do a behind the scene look at LinkedIn office and interview a couple of people, and that post actually went viral. So those type of like storytelling posts has really been doing super well on the platform, and I encourage anyone that it's like starting out to use storytelling posts to start with as well. I think it's the easiest one to start with, and it's really authentic to start with as well, is because you're like basically talking about yourself, right? So that is another thing that I noticed. The last thing I noticed is really going back to the conversation, where LinkedIn is focusing on people's content getting repost and reshare, and from there they encourage you to basically add like at least one or two liner when you are even resharing the post. So that is another discovery that I find.
Okay, yeah, that sounds like really good advice. And also, in regards to resharing, there's resharing and reposting, which was not there before either. Where now, like if you repost, all the likes and all the comments go to the original post, and all the views go to the original post. So that's also a nice update from this year.
Exactly. That's like it's just one of the things that people is really afraid, right? When they're reposting, they're like, oh my gosh, there's no like engagement right there. Is there a real post? What's going on? And now with that, it's just like helping people to like feel good about reposting and resharing other people's content.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, Dominique. Oh, Andy, did you maybe have something to add? I saw you on mute.
No. All I was going to say was I think what's really important for people to understand at this point when we're talking about engagement is that it very often it's easy to fall into the trap of using engagement as your ultimate benchmark of success. And the reality is, and when you get good engagement on your content, as I've been lucky enough to do, and many of us have certainly the panel have over the years, it's easy to fall into that trap. But for new people coming to the platform today, it's a dangerous trap to fall into, because I know a ton of people that have had crazy engagement on their content over the years and they're broke. Like, they literally don't have any money because it was the wrong type of engagement. And what it was doing, it was forcing them to create the wrong type of content that wasn't actually speaking to their target audience. So I think it's important that while engagement is super important for reach in terms of giving you that authority in the space and presenting you as that authority, there are other benchmarks of success that people should be focusing on, especially when they're coming to the platform new.
Yeah, I can only agree. And it's a different story now, coming in it now than, like, let's say 5 or 7 years ago. So that's a good point. Dominika, maybe you would like to share how was this year for you, and engagement wise as well.
Sure. So I basically agree with you all with regards to kind of the drop in the engagement. But despite that I think, like, LinkedIn is still performing really well. And whenever I have a discussion with people who advocate for being active on other platforms, I always kind of like remember why I love LinkedIn so much. And the reason is that basically, if you're consistent, and that consistency doesn't mean you have to be active every day. I mean, like, we can create those rules for ourselves, but it doesn't have to be like that. So even if you decide to do something on this platform once a week or twice a week, I mean, like, posting, it still can generate pretty good reach and pretty good results. Depends, of course, on your goals. Whereas in other platforms such as Instagram, you have to be constantly active, right, with all the stories, etc., etc. So I just keep reminding myself, whenever I get the slow engagement on certain posts, I just keep reminding myself why I love LinkedIn so much, right? So you just dedicate a specific amount of time, not necessarily too much of time, but it still works. So I think this year basically supports this fact. And in general, right, so in every product life cycle, we have 4 stages: introduction, growth, maturity, and decline. So when it comes to LinkedIn, not LinkedIn as a platform as a whole, but like content on LinkedIn, to me, it feels that it has been reaching the stage of maturity, because like it's becoming quite steady. So I don't know if you feel the same way, but I just feel like, it's working. And I'm looking for something new, what the platform will be introducing, hopefully sometime soon, just to make it kind of grow again. I'm not sure if you're sharing the same reviews, but that's how I feel at the moment.
I can only agree, I was just meeting a representative from LinkedIn the other week, and he flew to Lithuania from Dublin, and he was mentioning as well that, he sees that there's like a steady growth, especially here in Europe. I don't know, maybe Selena, you can comment on how it is in the US, but, there's like a couple thousand users every single week joining in different markets, and it's growing steadily, but it's not like showing huge signs of growth, or but also LinkedIn has not been doing a lot of huge changes, so I think that's also contributing to it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, like, just looking at X, what they're doing, like Twitter, obviously, and Facebook, Meta have been doing most of the most corporate drastic changes. LinkedIn is always playing a very safe game when it comes to user acquisition. So I think Europe is a really huge market. I think Asia specifically, they're doing a lot of more activation, but US, UK are always like sort of like their market have a lot of user there. But to like Dominika point earlier, which I think is something that not a lot of people talk about, it's the comparison of other channels. LinkedIn is really stable in that point, like from a user perspective. Like, obviously all of us will think it changes all the time because we're in it, right? We're also our business is depending on it. We spoke about it. We, teach about it. We educated people about the platform. So I think we're really aware of all the changes. But I think for the user perspective, this is really a great platform to be, especially for the company brand perspective. I know they're trying drastically to, add more feature, testing different stuff, but ultimately is really going back to LinkedIn trying to empower user like you and me, everyday business owners to, have their content being seen for more people, which average people see like 8 to 10% of our audiences, which is fantastic. Like if you're looking at Meta specifically or Twitter it's getting better too, but Meta or Instagram specifically is less than a 4.5%, which is really, really low. So this is like some of the stuff that I think it's great. No better place to be at right now to build your personal brand, but on LinkedIn.
These are really good points, and I can only agree. So thank you so much for sharing this, Selena. This is an interesting. These are interesting facts when you can share from another market and compare it with what we are experiencing in Europe as well. So before we go into the next year, I also want to touch upon another thing. So a little bit more than a year ago, the world was introduced to ChatGPT. And so ever since then, of course, I bet you too, but I noticed like a lot of new people joining the platform and also creating content, which was, over the time you started noticing like, okay, this person is probably using ChatGPT. But still, in the beginning of it, I also did a few experimental posts where I used some of the generated ChatGPT text and I uploaded it as my original post. It performed really well, but that I only did in the beginning just to see. However, I still believe that writing your own content is the way, telling authentic stories is the way. But still, did you notice like some people using ChatGPT, maybe abusing it and using it too much, or is it not that obvious for you?
Very obvious. If I may start, I think it's very obvious unless, well, it depends on what kind of prompts you give to ChatGPT, basically. But I feel like I can immediately recognize whether it's written with the help of ChatGPT or not. Sometimes, people are even too lazy to kind of, change the structure of the sentences, right? So we have like the keywords, then we have the, how do you call this, double point sign, and then the message. But it's not that I'm against it. I'm in favor of it, but perhaps people should be more conscious on the fact that it's quite visible and it becomes really non-authentic if it's overused. What I personally do for the posts that I write in English, the prompt I usually give is not to improve the post, but I usually just ask ChatGPT to check if the grammar is correct. And then it does not, add these words that make it sound not like me, extraordinary, magnificent, exciting, whatever. It just keeps like kind of the idea pretty much the same, but just makes it more neat in terms of like the language flow. So this is at least what I do. But for the people who really want to showcase their authenticity and kind of like to build their personal brand, an authentic personal brand, I think like you have to be cautious on how much ChatGPT you're using for the content. So
I think ChatGPT absolutely has its place, and as it advances, it will become more and more efficient. I think for me, I've never used it for social media content, mainly because as we've discussed, for you to stand out on social media content is very different to any other type of copy, if you like, in terms of ad copy, blog copy, website copy. Social content is a different skill. And if you come at that with pre-written copy that is fairly obvious to most people now, if it's not been edited, then in my opinion, you're not going to succeed on this platform in the way that perhaps you want to, or you've been led to believe you can. I think it has its uses. I've certainly used it for ideas when I've been writing web copy or blogs, but it's very much just that. It's very much a spark if I need an idea or a piece of inspiration that doesn't come to me in that moment. But other than that, it's a tool that I certainly wouldn't use for my content strategy or that of our clients.
Okay, Selena, do you have something you wanted to share around the topic of ChatGPT content creation?
Sure. I'm actually think ChatGPT as a content creator really beneficial. From my perspective, I do use like what Domenica is saying, from the grammar checking perspective, it helps me a lot. But also from the data sort of generating perspective, like I love talking about data. I love like finding facts about proving some of the points that I want to sort of elaborate with my audience. So I do think ChatGPT have its benefit, and I think it's really here to stay. As like most of you already know, Google Gemini is coming literally, I think, in today or a few days. Which is like something that I think it's going to bring a lot of value to a lot of businesses, not just from the content perspective, but also like from analyzing huge data perspective. Like we try to basically run some of our P&L with ChatGPT the other day, and it really just helps us to basically clean out our maps and things like that. We'll also try using that to analyze our LinkedIn and our creator analytics, and it's also do a really good job. So ultimately, it's like how you use it, and you're the one that basically taking control of this machine that is supporting the goals. I think it's the way to go.
Yeah, I always say, it all depends on how we use the tools, and if we can use them to our advantage to generate some ideas, or as Dominika said, correct grammar mistakes or anything else. Like it's a good way to do that. But of course, I also can see those posts that were written totally by ChatGPT and then just simply posted. So before we go into the next, the second part of our audio event, just very briefly, for those who are listening, glad to see you here today in this audio event. And talking about this year, there were a lot of features and a lot of updates. So a few of them were, collaborative articles, top voice badges, messaging function added to business accounts, featured section also happened this year to kind of improve our profile, our personal profiles. Also brand partnerships for tagging your personal post whenever you're sponsored by another brand to make that post. So a lot of different things, right? Maybe very briefly, each of you could share which features were your favorite ones, and maybe something else that I haven't mentioned already.
I can go with this one because
Yeah.
I think it's fantastic for LinkedIn to allow for top voice batches. I don't know whether you guys agree, because I know some, obviously there's user abusing that. I mean, like, to me, is a really amazing feature that given more opportunity for regular people to basically have that top voice badges specifically in that topic. And I really like that. And I hope that they would continue doing it for 2024.
Yeah, I think I agree. It's not something that personally I've explored, mainly out of time and focuses on other areas. But I do think I agree with the concept that gives people an opportunity to present themselves as an authority in the space, and not by cheating the system, but by actually adding consistent value on detailed topics.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Dominika?
Yeah, I was gonna say that I agree, and I explored the collaborative articles as well. As soon as I saw that there is this option, I kind of started to engage it with it. I would prefer if that badge would be seen in our headlines when scrolling through the feed, not only when we go on the person's profile, because I think it would bring more value, right? Because we could immediately see whether that person has a badge in a specific topic. But despite the fact that we can only see it when we go on a person's profile, I think it's still great. I mean, it still gives credibility. Um, and to be honest, it wasn't too difficult to get it. So I think it's kind of like a game, at least to me and to the people who might want to get it. So, but it's still, of course, it needs effort. And what Andy said, it's not just it's not just that we can purchase it or anything. Like we really have to put effort into it. So I like that. Newsletters, I think it's not the news from this year, right? It's from last year, but I kind of like that function. I also like your newsletter, the Linkedist newsletter, and I personally do it from my personal account. But I feel every time, despite the fact that it's not necessarily going to make people engaged in terms of likes and comments and shares, whenever I post a newsletter, I feel that there is some kind of interest coming from potential clients, etc. So I feel it's really giving a lot of value to the creators. So that would probably be the main two kind of new or recent functions that I very much enjoy. What about you, Katrina?
Yeah, I could only say that also I really like the collaborative articles and top voice badge feature. I think it definitely builds trust, especially knowing the fact that every 60 days, if I remember it correctly, you have to they reevaluate the badge. So even if you get it somehow through if you get it quicker in the first place, later you still need to keep up and add your comments and contribute. So I really like this update. I think like brand partnerships, having the opportunity to label your posts whenever you have like a company which is sponsoring your post is a good move towards strengthening influencer marketing on LinkedIn, which has been a thing for the last few years, but I feel like still a lot of companies have not discovered it, and a lot of people, content creators, are still not benefiting from it yet. So I'm excited for that. Okay, Dominika, you also mentioned our newsletter. So yeah, I really would like to encourage those who want to know more about LinkedIn. Make sure to check out Linkedist. And my colleague and I also, we posted a comment under this event with 3 of our ebooks about marketing strategy for SaaS companies, copywriting for LinkedIn, and AI-powered marketing. So if you want to learn more about it, go ahead and check out our ebooks. Now, I would like us to look a little bit into the future. We have talked a little bit about, how the year went and what were the different updates that we have seen on the platform and where the platform is moving in general. Now talking about the next year and talking about the upcoming trends and goals. What kind of trends do you think are coming generally in marketing? And maybe we will see some of those trends happening on LinkedIn as well. We have like this new feature, and I saw Selena is using it really well, like where you can, for example, spotlight your video content, or you can spotlight your images on your profile. So maybe platform is like trying to follow other social media platforms, like showing more of different types of content. So with all of these changes, where do you think this platform is moving, and what could we expect next year?
I still think the huge opportunity, and I say this to all of our clients, and it's not necessarily a feature, but the opportunity for people coming to the platform new is in video. I do a lot of video myself. I encourage all of our clients to do video. Most of them are petrified of doing it. Most of them try and avoid it as much as they can. But the reality is, especially when you're talking about a service where a connection is required. Like most of the services that we all promote, people connect with people long before they buy the product or service. And I think there's no better way to connect with an audience on LinkedIn or any channel. But obviously LinkedIn is probably the one where people try and avoid it the most. If you're on TikTok, Instagram, videos are there. People get used to doing those. But on LinkedIn, there's still a real hesitance to put yourself on camera. But from a trust building exercise, for me, there's no better way. I know for a fact that we wouldn't have the business we have if it hadn't been for my willingness to put myself on camera 4 years ago and continue to do so today. So I think there is still a huge opportunity for people coming to the platform fresh to stand out quicker by utilizing the option of video.
That's a really good point. Though I must say that I always suggest that, do that type of content which you feel comfortable with. So if you feel more comfortable, for example, with just writing a long copy and an article, I think maybe that's, sometimes doing a video, it takes just a lot of effort. Do you still think like people who are not that great on video should continue trying to make videos? Or
I genuinely do. I'm probably never gonna. We may never agree on this, to be honest, but I genuinely do, because I think everyone that I've coached, none of them started well on video, and then over time they improved and got better and better. And then some of our clients work in an industry where they do a lot of events, for example, and the feedback that we've had when they've turned up at events, and it's like they're a celebrity because everyone knows them from the stuff they do online, and then that transmits when they're offline, and that creates those opportunities and builds those relationships. And I just think there's so many people now, there's so much competition with new creators coming to the platform all the time. There's so much noise within social, and particularly on LinkedIn, and that's only going to get noisier and noisier, and you have to do something that stands you apart from the people that are in your space, that are trying to challenge you for that same spot in someone's feed. And I think the copy, and there's I can probably count on one hand the amount of people I see daily on LinkedIn that command high engagement with copy posts alone, with no visual, no video, no other gimmicks to try and stop people scrolling. I can probably count on one hand. So for a new creator coming to LinkedIn today, to grow at pace, you need to be comfortable being uncomfortable. And I think video for me is still the biggest way to build trust in an audience over anything else.
Thank you so much for sharing this. We don't have to agree. It's great to have different perspectives and different opinions and just have a discussion. That's why we're having this audio event. So all of the different strategies are welcome here. Selena, I know that you're also creating a lot of video content. How is that going for you, and what's your take on this?
I'm actually in between both of you. I'm so with Andy because I personally really enjoy creating video content, and I felt like that is the best way to resonate with my audience. And I like throwing data. Like 60K is the number our brand process visual better than text, and that's a lot, right? 80% is what we see, 20% is what we read, and 10% is what we hear. So visual content, it's really helping to cut through the noise. So for that route, I'm definitely with Andy. But there is days that, like, if I'm traveling, I'm going on a business trip, I'm doing tons of events, I don't want to be on cameras all the time. So I would basically either batch a bunch of content or do a lot of more carousel, document type of posts where I do a lot of educational rather than, face to camera, sort of sharing my views, edutainment type of post. So I would feel like if anybody is listening, I do encourage you, if you just fresh out start with on a platform like, let's say, LinkedIn, video or visual is a really fantastic way to cut through the noise. But given the fact that you can do that consistently, not to do it like, oh my gosh, okay, this is the way to grow. I listen to Andy and Selena. This is the way to grow. And then I just like force myself being on the camera. No, but it's more like, you know, that this is like something you can stick with it to do it consistently for showing up online for your audience. If you can do that, highly encourage you to try this sort of format for sure. Is it the 2024 trend that you saw on LinkedIn, right, Katrina?
Yes, exactly.
So one of the things that I really are with you is on the company branding perspective. Like, I really hope there's more company brand waking up, realizing that employee sort of like employee branding is super important. I think slowly there's more brand looking in that space, and that they can really monetize and use creator like you and I, Andy, Domenica for. And I think this is like some of the things that I think the brands are still knowing this is the place to go, but not really like making a focus or putting their budget or importance on. So I would see this is going to be the 2024 trend. LinkedIn Creator will continue to be a really strong advocator for the platform to promote the platform, not just their SaaS tool, the premiums, all the good stuff, but also to help other people to be good and great at sort of navigating the platform and more. So these are some of the trends that I see and feature that I see that LinkedIn will be doing more to benefit creators.
Yeah, I can only agree with these points. I also had a similar one, so I think you explained it and already talked about it in a really great manner. So I don't think I have something to add. Dominika, maybe you want to share something that's been on your mind, and also maybe you have like a short comment on the video point as well that Andy made.
Yeah, I'll start with that. I'll start with video content. So basically, I feel like it's a great way to differentiate and kind of like, become visible and bring yourself out of the clutter. But I'm very much supporting you, Katrina, and your thought that, we should do what's comfortable for us, especially in the beginning, because what I feel in case of some clients that in the beginning it's already sometimes difficult for certain people to start posting even like text posts or textless visual posts. So video is very challenging for certain people. So I believe that in the beginning, initially, it's better to start with whatever works, and then later, of course, if the person wants to challenge himself or herself, they can proceed with different formats. But yeah, I think it's up to the people. If it works, yes, I believe it works. I've experimented with that in the past myself. But like I myself, I realized that it's probably not my favorite type of content. I like long form. I like articles. It's not that I have time to write those every week, but it's something what I really enjoy and what brings out the best of me. So yeah, I understand that it works. I understand that it's trending, but I still feel that people should do whatever works for them personally. Talking about other trends, I feel that in general, when it comes to marketing, I think the trends they're pretty much like are repeating as they were in the last year. So again, like everybody's talking about authenticity, unpolished type of content, also co-creation opportunities with influencers. So that's what I'm personally very interested in. How LinkedIn is going to kind of encourage creators. That's something what Selena mentioned as well. And I wonder if we're going to see more partnerships on this platform. Because I think the difficulty here arises when brands, well, they realize that they would like to get somebody to influence their products or services, but some people they have their positions, official positions at companies, right? If they're not freelancers, if they're not business owners,
True.
or yeah, so it's kind of like difficult, and I wonder whether certain solutions are going to be found here. So I'm personally very curious about that. I'm not sure. This is what I was going to ask you guys. Do you think LinkedIn is ever going to bring stories back? What I would like to, I would like to see
I would
the
love to too. It's like one of the only feature that I felt, why are they killing it? The second one is actually pinned comments. But yeah,
Oh yeah.
totally
Yeah.
with you, Instagram story. It's just like one of the things that I don't think they see the value of it, but we see it a lot from a user perspective, because like CEOs or like a big corporates, like people making a decision could see like a professional in a different light. And I think that's really extremely powerful. And yeah, I mean, there is like sort of like a LinkedIn helped-in page where you can submit some of the feature you really want. If we want to really bring it back, we could. Like, we just need a lot of people voting that. Then we can perhaps like change it around.
Where's the petition?
Yeah, I need to send it to you
Yeah.
guys. I think I need to find that link. But I used it a long time ago. But I know Jeff Winter, when he's the CEO, he did the poll. So poll is one of those that it's like actually influenced by user. So if like Instagram story is something that we really want it to stay, we can influence it.
Yeah, let's do it. I kind of miss it. I think it was a fun times when stories were on LinkedIn. I mean, the reach was not very good. At least that's what I remember. But I would like to try it out again if it ever comes back.
I would even do more videos on the stories.
I promise. Yes, me too. Me too.
Then it's definitely worth bringing back.
Okay.
URL too, like Instagram's the LinkedIn story allow URLs, right? Where previously LinkedIn is sort of like penalized user for like basically sending people to external URLs, but the turnaround for that is the LinkedIn story. But now it's great. Like they have the URL feature of the custom button on top, which is a feature that I really hope that will stay. It's fantastic. We can also put it on each of our posts right now if we want. It's like, A or B in terms of that. So those are like these two are really great features.
If I can add, I'm also looking forward to seeing like more integrations in regards to AI, because right now they launched, like AI help when it comes to your profile optimization for premium accounts. And I believe like there will be probably more things that they will test and try to implement. So I think also next year probably we'll see even more like creative solutions and more creativity in people's posts, because of course with all of the other tools outside of LinkedIn like Midjourney, DALL-E, and others for image creation, we are seeing more and more users are using unconventional images or like different images than before to grab that attention when people are scrolling. Okay, just before we wrap it up and go to the Q&A section, those who have some questions for us today, please raise your hand and we'll bring you on the stage and you'll be able to ask your question. But just before that, while you're queuing up and waiting for your questions to be answered, I want to ask all of you, do you have some specific goals that you set for your LinkedIn presence for the upcoming year?
Joe, I'll take this one, and it might be quite a controversial one because there's a lot of talk about personal brand all of the time, and that was a big thing for me when I joined the platform in 2009. Well, I didn't join in 2019. I started being active in 2019, but people massively undervalue company pages. I think it's really important that we have to remember the type of people that we're trying to attract, right? So our target audience is, as Selena said, it's CEOs, big businesses, that need to build their online presence that perhaps haven't done that so far and don't have in-house teams that can do it at an expert level. But very often people underappreciate the value of company pages, because when people really want to then validate, say myself, Selena, whoever, they go to our personal profile and fine, that's great for the awareness play, but then they want to look at the professional front and see what is behind that, what's behind us, if it's more than just a single person business. And I think it's really, really important that we don't undervalue the importance of that shop front for businesses that perhaps think it's okay for me to just post on my personal profile and let everything else drop to the sidelines. So for a lot of our clients, we manage both personal accounts and business page accounts in tandem, because I think depending on the type of client you're looking at, they both have equal value.
I couldn't agree more, Andy. Like one of the things I always share with my clients, which is kind of funny, when someone looking at your profile, right, like it was scroll down to work experience, they see there's like no pictures of which company you're working for. It's pretty like sketchy, right? What you wanted to do, like make it very legitimate, is to just like open that company page. What most of the people could do also is to like share what you share in the personal branding perspective, reshare the same one to begin with. Maybe like it's something that we might not agree on, please let me know. But to start with, right? To have a company page. So I would say this is definitely something people totally undervalue with LinkedIn having this new feature. I think they're definitely improving on it. And it's the inbox. I think previously they don't have the messaging feature that allowing people to DM
True.
a company. Now you can, and also so much more that like I don't even know how to begin with, like the work culture post idea. People will follow, which is like now it's giving 250 credit per month, which is a huge thing. LinkedIn, like people pay for this. Like corporates pay at least $5 to like $8 per followers, and now they give it for free, right? Things like that, or employee posts, you can reshare that. There's like sponsor content that it's also filtered really clearly. So there is definitely power in company pages, as it shouldn't be undervalued, like Andy said.
Selena, that strategy you've just said is exactly what we've deployed from the get-go, really. A lot of our content is fairly business focused in terms of advice and support around how to grow LinkedIn and social in general. So it is business content, and we repurpose that onto the business page to make sure that it's active, that it's full. Most people haven't got the time to even manage one page, let alone two. But there is real value in making sure that you've got activity on those pages and that you're presenting yourself as an authority, because people use LinkedIn like a search engine. It's, social media is a search engine like anything else. And if people are searching and putting in those keywords and they're coming across pages that are empty, that look like you closed 2 years ago, then that's going to work against you regardless of what your personal profile is doing.
I can only agree. And I think Dominika will agree as well, because we also work with brands and companies and help them with their company pages too. So it's good to see that we're all aligning here today. And really the message here is that next year, if you're managing your company, if you have, or if you're managing a company page, remember that it should not stay silent for long. Since, as Andy just mentioned, it builds trust and add trust when other companies that maybe you want to do business with checks your company page out. Dominika, would you like to add something about the next year? Maybe some goals that you have for your own personal brand, or
Yeah, thanks, Katrina. I feel like sometimes, well, not often, but sometimes I feel like I'm a shoemaker without shoes. I'm not sure if that makes sense, not in a non-Lithuanian language, because we have a perfect saying like that.
So whenever I'm advocating for consistency and authenticity, sometimes I find myself stuck in my routine and not having time to publish quality content. So I want that to change, and I really want to go back to the articles that I so much enjoy. So it's kind of like a personal resolution to kind of do more of that, because it's where I see value and that's what I really enjoy. And also, a personal resolution for next year is to be a little bit more experimental with other types of content, including videos as well. So I might do something in that area as well. So that's what I hope for.
Andy, I see some influence from your side.
Do you know what? That was the whole idea. And if you ever need any help, or you ever want to run anything by me, or want just an unbiased opinion, please let me know, because I do that for a lot of people, and it can be scary at first. I'm a testament to that. I was scared at first and rubbish, and maybe I'm still rubbish, but I'm a lot more confident in front of camera than I was 4 years ago.
It's all about practicing and being consistent, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so I think we covered a lot of different topics, and our time is running out. I mean, I didn't even notice how like almost an hour passed by. If you have some questions, those who are still listening, now is the time to raise your hand, and we'll bring you on the stage, and you can ask your question and get some advice from all of us here today. We are really the people who can help you when it comes to LinkedIn. So I hope you are not afraid to raise your hand and ask a question. So I do see that we have one person, Olha, who is raising her hand. Welcome. The stage is yours. You can ask your question.
Hello, everyone, and thank you, first of all, for the insightful session. I think I've learned a lot during this hour. And my question actually is about pages. I mean, top voice in something on LinkedIn. Some of you mentioned that it's pretty easy to get, and I think we can all agree that it adds some credibility. So if you have any kind of insights or tips how to get one, it would be very appreciated from my side for sharing, because like I'm getting lots of notifications from LinkedIn when they ask me to become a contributor, and I remember writing lots of comments and getting likes for them, but still I understood it's a protest.
Thank you for your question. Maybe someone wants to share.
I can take this one.
Mhm.
So it's great. So first of all, I love this question so much, and I'm so happy that you have been contributing to the collaborative article. I think one of the things that LinkedIn pick and choose which one to basically grant the top voice badges is depending on some of the keywords you use on your LinkedIn profile. If that's something you match with, that would be fantastic. So when you go to like all LinkedIn collaborated article, there is some of those bubble where they will be like, this might be 10 to what you would like to contribute to. And those are actually your winning keywords there. So if there's like a specific, I think I'm just reading your headlines right now. Oha, I hope I do not butcher your name as well. Please do let me know if I do. Communication manager with expert in PR, SMM. So that is like communications, right? Like corporate communications or like communications in general. Those are some of the keywords that you would be contributing to.
Yeah, if I may add, also, when I was trying to get my badge, also, sometimes you would comment on some of the comments which have a lot of contributions, and sometimes I would comment on, different places where there's not even a single contribution. So I think it's good to mix it up and see how you can contribute in also very saturated question, where there's lots of answers, and then questions where there's not even a single answer at all.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I can only agree to that. Just a quick comment from my side, perhaps. Well, I said it was quite easy. Maybe I was just lucky. I'm not sure, but I just kept doing more of those because, like, I think in the
rules or kind of like informational section, it says that you at least have to provide free comments, if I'm not mistaken. But like, of course, you have to do more, and then just don't give up, and keep trying. And then I think sooner or later you will receive it. But what I personally did in some cases, so since I have a lot of articles written before, so sometimes if I would see that the question is in line of what I covered in my previous articles, I would just like take it from my own content from the past, which kind of like saved time. So perhaps it might be an idea for some of you. I mean, you don't have to take it from the articles, you can take it from your older posts, for example, because since it's your content, so it's not, it's not cheating, it's not copy pasting like something from the internet, but it's just your own thoughts.
Okay, thank you so much, Olga. I hope we answered your question. And thank you so much for coming on the stage. Okay, so next up, we have Awais. Welcome to the stage.
Hi, hello everyone. How are you?
Hello.
Awais. Hello, I'm Awais from Pakistan, and I have a question and one thing I want to share. In 2024, I'm planning to do some audio events, and today I have published one audio event with some of my colleagues here. And also I have created my content calendar to showing up continuously and consistently here on LinkedIn, and wish me a good luck. So my question is, I was doing a job in social media management, and recently I quit my job and to work on my personal branding and get freelance work here on LinkedIn. What you guys, especially Andy, what you suggest me, should I have to do overall social media services here, or I have to focus only on LinkedIn as a skill? What you suggest me as a newbie, and also as a newbie who not enjoy very much writing, but who enjoy talking to people, who enjoy events like audio events and video content. What you suggest?
I think highways. I think as a newbie, first of all, what's the service you're offering?
I'm offering social media content creation, content calendar, and all social media management related services.
Okay.
With two team members. One is graphic designer and one is video editor.
I think. Sorry to interrupt you. I think the key thing when you first start, I would imagine, and my fellow hosts would probably agree with me on this, is it doesn't really matter how great the content is, even if you're the greatest video creator, the greatest copywriter, if you don't have a network, if you don't have a connected network that's going to support you because you've supported them and you're going to grow with them, so that they can support your content and give it momentum, then it's kind of not going to happen for you. So I think one of the first things you need to do is build a network of active people, active creators, people that you can learn from, people that will contribute, people that will support your content as you grow, so that when you do create, you've actually got a support network. I think if you're starting cold today, for example, and you don't have a support network in place, then it's very hard. Even if your content's great, it's very hard for LinkedIn to put you anywhere or put you in front of anyone, because you kind of haven't told them who you want to be in front of and who you want to be connected with. So I think my first thing for you would be to, yes, you've got your calendar, but build that connected network and continue to build it. I'm still building mine every single day, and I've been doing that for 4 years. And I think that's a really important element that people often miss because they get too caught up in what they want to post as opposed to who they're going to support.
Thank you so much, Andy, for taking this question. Awais, I hope we answered your question, and just want to be mindful of everybody's time. And I see that we still have 2 more questions. So thank you so much for coming on the stage and asking your question.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you, Andy.
You're welcome.
Okay, next up we have Justinas. Justinas, welcome on the stage. Justinas, can you hear us?
Sorry, hi, sorry, my mic went off. Hi, I have a quick one. I'm not going to take too much time. So you know how people put on X company on their profiles, right? So manager at blah blah blah, X Google or X something. Do you think that's a good practice or not? Because, like, in my opinion, that's kind of sends probably the wrong message to your current employer that you're kind of still active, very kind of actively looking or not. Like, why would you put it up? So I wanted to get all of your opinion, like short, yay nay for this practice. Thanks.
Thank you for your question. Anyone wants to start? I mean, I personally would say it helps, and I think why people are doing it because again, it builds trust, and when you leave a comment, people see like the beginning of your title and can read like that you were working at Google or Uber or somewhere else before. So it builds trust, and also it helps with the search. I believe if somebody's looking for people working at Google, they will also find you if they're searching by people filter. But maybe others have a different opinion.
Yeah, I think that I've always said to people the first 7 or 8 words of your headline are critical. And if I'm honest, I tell people that if you've got manager at X or director of this or CEO of that, and no one really cares, because if you're on LinkedIn to attract business, and as we've just discussed, when you're commenting on people's posts or they see you in their feed, it's that first sort of 7, 8 words that they see. What they should do is actually solve a problem. They should actually be those 7 or 8 words should be this is how I help you quote, whatever that is for your business. And then the as we've just said, the keywords in that headline can come after, so they can still be searched for, and they still work within LinkedIn's algorithm in terms of searches. But I think that first 7 or 8 words are really important, that you actually solve a problem for the people that see you in the feed.
How about others?
I'm in on. Sorry, you go.
No. I mean, go ahead. I was just asking, how about others?
I was about to chime in terms of this. I think it's really helpful for tech recruiters, because not just from the headline perspective, like obviously if you have worked for Google before, I've worked for LinkedIn before, there's actually a recruiter function where they can find like similar tech companies in terms of like, hey, former employee at this specific tech company, right? So those are some of the first party data that they gather from your LinkedIn profile, as well as from your keywords, just like Katrina as well as Andy said. So I'm not against it. It's just like depending on your goals and priorities, ultimately, whether you want to like look for jobs or you're looking into like again, establishing yourself as a trusted authority in that space, that would be something you can prioritize on your headlines or as well as on your summary.
I can only agree to Selena, just very shortly. So I think if you're looking for a corporate job, and that's your goal, I wouldn't go for the value creating headline, like explaining how can you create value. I would go for the official position, because I think that's like how recruiters are mostly searching for specific talents. But and talking about the previous position, like ex Googler or ex Facebook, etc., ex Meta, whatever, I think it sends a certain signal, and I think it's worth it if a brand that you work for is really well known and if it's very strong. So I would actually go for it, but again, depends on the whole situation.
Thank you so much, Justinas, for your question.
Yeah, that's a good perspective. I haven't thought about it that way. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Okay, so we'll take one more question before we wrap it up. And also those who are still having your hands raised, I hope you write us privately as well, and we can answer your questions. So the final one comes from Zainab. Hello, the stage is yours.
Hello. My question is about my company page that I'm running. I'm running the company page for electronic payment of National Bank of Iran. We got a problem here that because of the semi-governmental nature of the brand and other things that you can imagine about this kind of company in financial industry, we got a problem about humanizing the brand through social media, especially LinkedIn. I want to know if you have any advice about this.
Okay, who would like to chip in?
So the goal is to humanize the brand through the company page. Is that correct?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So I think I talk about this a lot with our clients because company pages tend to be very corporate and very, very uninteresting. And I think that I try and give people advice that even though it's a company page, you still want people to connect with the people behind the business. And for some companies, that's harder than others because some businesses are very closed off and very corporate, and they're very hidden in terms of what they can and can't share. But if you can try and connect with people with talking about the individuals in the company, celebrating the success of individuals within the company, maybe doing some behind the scenes video footage of certain things that are happening that can be shared. I think the goal is to create a character and a personality behind any business. And if you can do that, you find a link between the personal profiles of people talking about the industry and the business and the company, and the disconnect isn't quite so vast when you do that, and when you can try and perhaps celebrate some of the individuals in the company rather than talking about the company more broadly and more corporately.
Yeah, so thank you so much for your question, Zainab. I think Andy pretty much summed it up, so I hope he answered your question. Thanks for jumping on the stage. Yes, I think our time is over, sadly, for today's session. I think next time we'll have to make sure to have 1 hour and a half because there's plenty of questions. So again, thank you so much for everybody who were a part of this audio event. Dominika, Andy, and Selena, if people would like to connect with you, I believe LinkedIn is the place to do that, right?
Yeah, very much so.
Okay. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for being with us today, and thank you everyone for joining us for this audio event on updates and trends on LinkedIn. I really hope you found the information and insights that we shared to be valuable and informative. I hope that you will join our audio events next year, as we're hosting at least one of them every month. And thank you again for tuning in. I look forward to having more conversations with everyone next year. And until next time, then. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, and early happy holidays, everybody.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Bye-bye.